Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving into some serious numbers today, folks. Godrej Properties Q2FY25 results are in, and you guys sent over their investor presentation and press release. Let me tell you, this is not your typical boring financial stuff.
Not even close. These results are seriously impressive. What's really interesting is how Godrej Properties is basically a reflection of India's economic growth right now. It's a fascinating case study.
Okay, so let's break it down. Godrej Properties is reporting its highest ever Q2 and first half performance, but what does that actually mean for people who aren't financial experts?
Right, we don't want to get bogged down in jargon.
Exactly. So we're talking about their booking value. Basically, it's the money they expect to make from properties they've already sold. For Q2, that number grew by 3% year on year, reaching INR 5,198 crore.
And, 3% might not sound like a huge jump,
Yeah, at first glance, it doesn't sound super exciting.
but you got to remember, this is on top of already strong performance. Plus, when you look at the first half of the fiscal year, things get really interesting. Their booking value skyrocketed by 90%, hitting a massive INR 13,835 crore.
Okay, so hold on. We're talking about over 14 million square feet of space sold in just 6 months. That's mind-boggling.
It's huge, and that translates to Godrej Properties already hitting 51% of their FY25 booking value target. And remember, it's only October. To put that into perspective, their average for this same period over the past 5 years was just 37%. They are way ahead of the game.
Crushing it. So they're exceeding expectations, but the big question is, why is demand so high specifically for Godrej Properties?
Well, a lot of it comes down to location, location, location. They're building in the right places.
Makes sense. People want to live where the action is.
Exactly. Take their new project, Godrej Riksha, in the National Capital Region. That one project alone brought in INR 1,493 crore in bookings. Then you've got Godrej Woodside Estate in the Mumbai metropolitan region, raking in INR 610 crore.
So these projects, they're not just plopped down anywhere.
No, they're strategically located in areas where there's booming growth. And when you look at their overall bookings for the first half of FY25, it really highlights this strategy. Their projects in the National Capital Region, Bengaluru, and the Mumbai metropolitan region, all seeing massive increases.
How massive are we talking?
We're talking 70%, a whopping 212%, and 114% respectively. They know what they're doing.
It's like they have a crystal ball, but for real estate. But okay, it's not just about sales, right? It's about the actual money coming in. Cash flow.
You hit the nail on the head. You can have all the sales in the world, but if the cash flow isn't there, it doesn't mean much.
Exactly. So how's Godrej Properties doing in that department?
Better than ever.
Yeah.
In Q2 alone, their collections jumped by a massive 68% year on year, reaching INR 4,005 crore. And for the first half of the year, they're up 62%, hitting INR 7,017 crore.
Wow, those are some serious numbers. They're not just promising sales and money's actually coming in, but what about the cash flow from their actual operations? How healthy is that looking?
This is where it gets really impressive. Their operational cash flow for Q2 saw a remarkable 126% year-on-year growth, reaching INR 1,834 crore. And get this, for the first half of the year, it surged by a staggering 204%, hitting INR 2,822 crore.
It's like they found the Midas touch, but for real estate.
They've got a winning formula, that's for sure. But what's even more impressive is they're not just riding this current wave, they're already making big moves to stay ahead of the game.
So they're on a roll, but what's the strategy for keeping that momentum going? What's their secret sauce?
Well, they're not resting on their laurels, that's for sure. Expansion's a big focus. In FY25 alone, they've added 10 new projects.
10? Wow, they're really going for it.
Absolutely. And these aren't small potatoes. We're talking an estimated 13.9 million square feet of saleable area.
Okay, that's hard to even picture. Give us a sense of scale.
Imagine a space bigger than the entire country of Monaco.
Wow, that's massive. Okay, so big projects, but what's the financial impact? How much are we talking?
We're looking at a potential booking value of around INR 17,450 crore. And get this, they've already achieved 87% of their annual business development target. And it's only October.
It's like they have a time machine. But it's one thing to make big plans, and it's another to actually make them happen.
You're absolutely right. It's all about execution. And that's where Godrej Properties really shines. They don't just talk the talk, they deliver.
Show us the receipts. What kind of delivery numbers are we talking about?
In Q2 alone, they delivered 6.6 million square feet of developed space across 3 major cities.
So just to put that into perspective for our listeners, we're talking about adding over 110 football fields of residential and commercial space in 3 months.
That's the kind of speed and efficiency we're talking about.
And that brings their year-to-date deliveries to.
A whopping 9.3 million square feet. Their highest ever for a first half.
So they're not just selling a dream, they're making it a reality. Those are some seriously solid construction skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These delivery numbers aren't just about meeting deadlines. It builds a huge amount of trust with investors and home buyers. When Godrej Properties says they're going to do something, they do it.
And in an industry like real estate, that kind of reliability is huge. It's got to be worth its weight in gold. Speaking of things that are valuable, let's talk about awards. Because Godrej Properties seems to be racking them up left and right.
Oh, yeah, they're cleaning up. They snagged a remarkable 44 awards in Q2 alone.
44.
Yep.
Seriously, that's like what, an award every other day?
Pretty much. They're being recognized across the board for their work.
Okay, so out of 44, there have to be some standouts. What are the ones that really prove their top dog?
For sure. They were named Builder of the Year, large category, by Construction Times. They got Value Creator of the Year from Huron, India. And then, to top it off, Construction World called them India's top builder. I mean, come on.
It's like the Oscars of real estate. They're unstoppable.
Yeah.
And it's not just the company as a whole. Even their CEO is getting recognized, right?
Oh, yeah. Their MD and CEO, Gaurav Pandey, received the Pride of India Award. That's from Construction Week Awards 2024.
So they've got strong leadership, a winning strategy, and a trophy case that's probably overflowing by now. But let's shift gears a bit, because there's another aspect of Godrej Properties that really caught our eye, and that's their commitment to sustainability. It's one thing to put up buildings, but it's another to do it responsibly.
Absolutely. This is where you see they're thinking about the big picture.
Yeah.
In a world facing climate change and environmental challenges, they're stepping up. They're setting an example.
Okay, so it's easy to talk about sustainability, but how do we know they're really walking the walk?
Well, they've been ranked #1 worldwide by the Global Real Estate Sustainability Benchmark for 3 years running.
3 years, wow. That speaks volumes. It's not just a one-time thing.
Exactly. They got it in 2020, 2021, and 2022. This isn't just about checking boxes. It's woven into everything they do.
Okay, so they're clearly not messing around. But were they always this focused on sustainability, or was there a moment when things shifted?
It's interesting. You can actually trace their commitment back to a specific point in time. Back in 2010, they made a bold decision. They pledged that from that point forward, all their new developments would be third-party certified green buildings.
2010, that's pretty forward thinking, especially back then. Sustainability wasn't even really a buzzword yet.
I know, right? It shows they weren't just jumping on a trend. It was a core value. And they've been backing it up with action ever since.
Okay, so they're clearly leading by example, but they're also trying to get the whole industry on board, right?
Absolutely. They didn't just stop with their own operations. They co-founded the Sustainable Housing Leadership Consortium, the SHLC.
And what's the goal of the SHLC?
It's all about bringing about positive change across the entire Indian real estate sector. They're not just setting the bar high, they're inviting everyone else to jump over it with them.
It's really something else to see a company doing so well financially while at the same time really pushing for a more sustainable way of doing things. It's pretty impressive.
It really is. Yeah. And it's not just about their own bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, it's a much bigger story.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Paint the bigger picture for us. What's the larger context here?
Well, think of it this way. Godrej Properties' success is kind of a mini version of India's own economic growth. You've got this booming economy, a rapidly growing middle class, and more people moving to cities. And Godrej Properties are right there riding that wave.
Right, so they're not just benefiting from India's growth or actually a part of it, but with this momentum they've got, this commitment to sustainability, what could it mean for the future of how we build cities?
That's a million-dollar question, isn't it? Can they use their success, their resources, their influence to really change the game when it comes to urban spaces?
It's a fascinating thing to think about. I mean, could they actually set a global standard for sustainable development, not just in India, but everywhere?
I hope so. They're definitely capable of it.
This whole deep dive into Godrej Properties has been eye-opening, to say the least. They're not just breaking financial records, they're pushing the boundaries in the real estate world. It's pretty inspiring, honestly.
No doubt about it. They've set a high bar for others to follow. It'll be interesting to see what they do next.
Absolutely. Lots to think about. What's next for Godrej Properties? How will they shape the cities of tomorrow? Those are some questions worth pondering. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Godrej Properties, everyone. It's been a wild ride.